Hello, book people. I'm here today to tell you about a brand new book that came out today. I mentioned it briefly in my wrap up. Well, not briefly, but, in a kind of quicker version in my June reading recap. But the book is Burn the Negative by Josh Winning, and it came out today. So I'll read you the summary and then tell you a little bit about this book. But it's absolutely, if you are a horror movie fan and you like horror novels, especially if you like them, cheesy ones, like this is not going to scare you or keep you up at night, but I'll talk a little bit about it. But if you love just fun, cheesy horror movies and horror books, campy horror, this is definitely a book you want to be getting. So the summary is, and this is from Amazon, arriving in LA to visit the set of a new streaming horror series, journalist Laura Warren witnesses a man jumping from a bridge, landing right behind her car. Here we go, she thinks. It's started. Because the series she's reporting on is a remake of a 90s horror flick, a cursed 90s horror flick which she starred in as a child and has been running from her whole life. In the guest house, Laura played the little girl with the terrifying gift to tell people how the Needle Man would kill them. When 8 of the cast and crew died in ways that eerily mirrored the movie's on-screen deaths, the film became a cult classic and ruined her life. Leaving it behind, Laura changed her name and her accent, dyed her hair, and moved across the Atlantic. But some scripts don't want to stay buried. Now, as the body count rises again, Laura finds herself on the run with her aspiring actress sister and a jaded psychic, hoping to end the curse once and for all and to stay out of the Needle Man's lethal reach. So what the summary I don't think captures is just how fun this book is. And sometimes, when you see a horror novel, it's there's different kinds of horror. This is perfect summer horror. It's fun. There's enough creepiness, and there's, definitely some you want to read from page to page. You're excited to see what's going to happen next. There's definitely some really messed up dark elements to it. But if you're a fan of Scream, that kind of meta horror, if you loved, all of the slasher flicks from the 80s and 90s, your Friday the 13th, especially Nightmare on Elm Street, this kind of has a Nightmare on Elm Street vibe. The movie does, Poltergeist, all of that. If you love horror movies, if you know a lot about horror movie trivia, there's some Easter eggs. But you have to be a, kind of cheesy old school horror person. It's that kind of campy, but also just kind of nonsensical, off the rails horror. The main character can be really annoying early in the book, and she's kind of vapid at points. And I was 20% in, and I was just thinking, oh, I can't stand this character. Why is she so annoying? But I loved this book. This is 100% a 5-star book. I got the arc of it, and I went and bought a copy because I loved it. So I pre-ordered it right away because it was that much fun. But if you picture your sort of Sidney Prescott, if you actually were in their mind, you'd probably be like, why are they doing so many stupid things? All of the final girl, that trope. There's so many tropey things in here, but all done in very much a love letter to horror movies. So if you love horror movies, you're just going to really enjoy this, I think. It also kind of reminds me a little, if you were one of those people who grew up reading the cheesy teen horror of the 80s and 90s, the Fear Street books, Christopher Pike, Point Horror, all that stuff, you'll probably love this because it's not as serious as a Stephen King kind of, not that it's I know it's horror genre fiction, but it's not it doesn't take itself that seriously. So you definitely expect it to be a little campy, but it's not it's campy in a good way. So it's cheesy, it's tropey, but it's so much fun. And it's absolutely, if you are a horror movie fan, go pick up this book. This will be probably your favorite summer read. It was hilarious and enjoyable and just one hell of a ride that you're just going to want to be on. So, I got to the point where I think I had 20 pages left, and I was actually sad. When you have that feeling that you love a book, and you're just oh, I don't want it to be over. and it goes, there's a lot of cool elements of it. I don't really want to give anything away, but yeah, it's just, but I do want to stress, while it's cheesy and campy, it's certainly not like a PG book. There's some pretty, gory, not over the top, but, people die in some pretty brutal ways. Like, it's kind of like a little bit like Final Destination in the ways they die. So that's kind of a good example, too. Like a Final Destination where it's, like, cheesy, but in, like, a fun way, but also, like, still pretty violent and, horror movie. So yeah, definitely check this book out. The book is Burn the Negative. And yeah, like, I think you'll love it. And if you don't, well, you don't. But don't blame me, because I think it was really fun. All right. Bye.